May 24, 2019, Friday. Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the shelter employment specialist, mentioned about my username, Dad's Royal, sounding like a teenager, not being professional, and then he started bringing about after I graduate college and receive a degree, the people within the profession wouldn't respect me, but the people within the profession uses their own customized email provider, as the universities use their own email provider for the students. So they would actually instruct the person what to actually say for the email. But this person is all more like automatically keep talking about the idea nonstop straight to convince me that my my way of thinking is not how an adult's supposed to be thinking. Or no, tried challenging me on in this idea, and he was fixated on it nonstop. And I said, "Oh, this is the multi-agent quantum AI computers. It's trying to convince me that I do not know any better." I also used the email before when I was an online marketer and doing business on the internet, and no one ever complained about my username. But I'm just using this email in the meantime. I'm not in the profession, so I have no. Since I'm not in a profession, I'm not there to know exactly what they want for my email or want for me to do on a computer if I get there. And then he mentioned that he's experienced. No, I'm experienced. I'm the older person here. I'm experienced. I'm telling you that people won't respect you. You know, this is the multi-agent quantum AI computer's way of actually trying to make me think that I do not know any better. The same way it did to me on the internet. Because Mr. Jacob Humphreys had asked if I received an email from TAP, right? Because he was focused on FastFoot and TAP. He's saying that I need FastFoot and TAP in order to be financially stable in college. So he asked for my smartphone with the email from TAP, and Mr. Jacob Humphreys clicked on the URL link without my permission, and it said Daz Royal. And as soon as it said Daz Royal is where he started talking about profession. Like, it was automatic. This is not the way Mr. Jacob had first thought of my username. This is the multi-agent quantum AI computer's way of trying to actually convince me that my mentality itself is undeveloped. Now, I also learned that Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the shelter employment specialist, continues to curse a lot when he was speaking with me. This is a shelter. This is a homeless. Well, more like this is a shelter where people who do not have any homes. This is a place for people who's been dumped here by the multi-agent quantum AI computers, and this is designed. Shelter is designed as a social experiment. So, what I learned from Mr. Jacob Humphreys is that he wasn't able to use his mind when he was speaking to me, as if someone hide his way of thinking about me so he can talk in this fashion. And the reputation of African Americans in Jamaica Queens is horrible. Is atrocious. And since he sees that I'm an African American, and not only that, I'm Andrew Warner, the multi-agent quantum AI computers think he can make him take advantage of me, and he starts cursing a lot. If you're an employment specialist in a shelter, and you want to convince a person that their username is not professional, and convince a person that they're not thinking as an adult should, you wouldn't be cursing. Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the employment specialist, is out of job character. Kept cursing nonstop. When me and my mom first met Mr. Jacob Humphreys, since the multi-agent quantum AI computers added him in the category of the basement. There was never a shelter employment specialist to begin with before 2019. When January 2019 started is where the multi-agent quantum AI computers decides to add an employment specialist in a shelter. And in order to keep the public assistant open, every single person has to have a public assistant case open. And the public assistant case, this is for cash assistance. They send the person to a job training program. This is unnecessary fund. Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the category is unnecessary funds. And he doesn't even have an office. He's outside in the hallway with a desk and a computer, a desktop computer. How are you gonna convince me that my email is not professional, and convince me that my way of thinking of doing business is not in a way of adult thinking? And you're cursing constantly at me when you're speaking. He's talking to me like we're outside. He's not talking to me like an employment specialist. This person is not the legitimate person of a job character. And also, Mr. Jacob called LaGuardia Community College as himself to ask questions. And he asked me for my social security number. So I was talking to my mom. So before May 24, 2019, I was talking to my mom and my sister that something wasn't right here. How Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the employment specialist, continues to give me appointment paper 24th, and it just keeps going. Tuesday, this is once a week. The people living in a shelter, they're supposed to see the employment specialist at least once a month. And the case manager, see the case manager once a week if they stay here too long, and if they just recently moved into a shelter, bi-weekly. And then Mr. Jacob Humphreys talked about making me nervous, informing the person about being nervous for the placement test. When the person informs the person with fear, that means they unconsciously want them to be feared when they take in the placement test. Never does. And this person claims that he's professional. This person's shown me, Mr. Jacob Humphreys, the employment specialist, is showing me that he has a York College student ID. He said that he started out with LaGuardia Community College, and then afterwards he moved up to York College. And I'm saying the way he communicate with me, it's not. How is it that he can communicate with me in this fashion and be in school, go in college? And I'm saying, oh, I know why he got through the college, the community college to York College. It's because the multi-agent quantum AI computers works with Mr. Jacob Humphreys' thoughts. It works with his mind to help him do college. It want to help me. It makes sure to design. It makes sure to design scenarios where it can create situations for me. So when I'm in the most important situation and there's a person around me, it can isolate me in that situation. So it can make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. And it always do this to me when I was in school. When I was in elementary school, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, it isolates me, puts me in the most ridiculous situation where it makes people think I can't read. It makes people, when I was in elementary school, it made the special ed teacher think I can't write a capital, I can't read. It makes people, when I was in elementary school, it made the special ed teacher think I can't read. It makes people, when I was in elementary school, it made the special ed teacher think I can't read. It makes people, when I was in elementary school, it made the special ed teacher think I can't g or lowercase g. Makes people think I can't write sentence. Make people think I can't interact with other kids. You know, that's what it does to me. All right, so moving on to the next one. May 31st, 2019, Friday. The neurologist ended up getting very frustrated after a patient called. So when I went to the neurologist's office, so this first, all right, let me start from the beginning of May 31st, 2019 morning, when me and my mom was standing in front of the Link NYC free Wi-Fi, and then she mentioned the word stupid first in the sentence, and I'm saying, wait. She went from talking about going to a doctor to see about my left testicle, and then she mentions afterwards, she mentions stupid, and then says that I don't. I'm like, wait, something's not right here. So when I went to the neurologist's office, and I'm looking at the digital panel, and it's advertising about Alzheimer's and also medication and also headaches. I'm saying, wait, I'm looking at that digital panel, and then I said to myself, wait, this felt like it happened before. So when I'm thinking back around 2016, where I saw this office in a dream when I was living in Kissimmee, Florida with my mom and sister. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, it was shown to me in a dream. And also this was during September going on to November was the time I was going to a urologist in Kissimmee, Florida. And I noticed when I was going to the urologist, some of the time and events and going to the urologist felt like it happened before. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? What's so special about me that something is trying to not allow me to fix my left testicle? Like, they want me to endure this pain as long as possible. Even the urologist during 2016 in Kissimmee, Florida said to stay with my pain. They meant the doctor, the urologist, he's a Filipino urologist. He said stay with my pain. And if the pain is really that bad, go to the emergency room. So I noticed that the patient had been clocked in to actually call the neurologist on the phone to get him frustrated. There was other patients that went ahead of me to go see the neurologist. What's so special about me being in the office that the patient had to call the neurologist to get him very frustrated, to the point that he got so frustrated he became angry. So I have a recording of it. Hold on.
Okay, I'll get the date for assembly. Ma'am, I have patient. This is too much for doctor, really. I can't believe this. Patient is suffering for 3 years. The guy is nitpicking over here. You know what? I'll document. You don't want to document. You want to do this case. Patient is suffering, and you are also wasting my time. I have a patient in front of me. I'll send those dates. Give me the fax number and that's it. Tenzin, can you give the fax number? Okay, give the fax number and that's it. Awesome. Situation, it's just like too much.
No, that's not right. Because you have to take the
I don't care. Tell the patient they're not accepting it. 3 years using treatment, and you know what? I will not accept it. It's too much, this healthcare. I mean, it's too much. I mean, I don't want to do this anymore, this work. 3 years, get the hell out of this bullshit. I myself am sick of this. I'm doing a test here, and here she's arguing with me, we've never been. No, I just told the patient that he's not doing it. So let's finish this. Okay.
So the reason why I'm going to a neurologist is because of my nerve damage from my left testicle. Since I hit my left testicle during September, and September is one of the multi-agent quantum AI computers' favorite time and event. It's the favorite time to actually design design scenarios so it can actually put the person in a situation. So I noticed my mom, since I started writing on an online community and I was a moderator and sharing out my ideas, I noticed that my mom and my sister became very aggressive, and every time I use the bathroom, every time they come in and they see me in the bathroom, they get very angry. It's like they lost their composure when they see me in the bathroom. Each time. Because I know that when my sister and my mom goes in the bathroom, they take a very long time, especially my sister. She takes a very long time in the bathroom. So I want to use the bathroom before she gets in the bathroom. And there was persuasion used when each time my mom and my sister was getting angry at me each day. But before I started noticing them becoming angry, during the last week of August, I started seeing words in my dreams, talking about monarch, talking about pope, talking about president. When I started talking about how humanity itself is being managed, I didn't say managed exactly. I was talking about the president, and I was talking about the citizens. I was talking about their wealth. I was talking about the height, how it's impossible for the citizens itself to actually be doing it themselves, and that someone's actually keeping track of them, and especially the president and the pope and the queen and the king, the prime minister. It wasn't looking right. And during the dream, it showed me a school board, and it showed my mom sitting in the front, and she was looking at the board. There was nobody standing at the board, but the chalk, it was just moving, and it was showing me. It gave me a long explanation. I had to say the information that it put on the board took up the whole entire board. This long board, and it was just showing me it was showing me about what else it was talking about. It was saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. And then a few days later, I had a dream about my left testicle. So it was around the first week of September, and I said to myself, wait, I thought I felt pain in my left testicle, and it was showing me how my left testicle was disfigured in a dream, and I also was feeling pain, and I didn't understand why. But when I woke up to check, my left testicle wasn't disfigured, it wasn't in pain. But until this week, September 2014, it's where I ended up going in the bathroom. Before I went to the bathroom, I started having a lot of thoughts, rush down thoughts. I had to call it rush down thoughts. These rush down automatic thoughts, and I'm gonna go through them. You're not gonna have you don't need no kids. No one wants to be around you. And I'm saying, wait, this is familiar. I remember back in 2004, I would have these thoughts during midnight morning about people don't want to be around me, that I'm stupid, I'm ugly, everybody hate me, and I would also have intense headaches. And I would also be showed dreams on how I'm being isolated. And I noticed that the communication from the dreams pick up in school. So when I'm in school, after I wake up early in the morning to go to school, I noticed that the communication from the kids were using direct messages. Well, like there's direct messages, even though they wasn't engaging in a conversation with me. There's people in my class that's not even communicating with me, but communicating with someone else, direct messages at me, and there would be indirect messages where they use phrases in a sentence, and I start to learn that someone's translating their thoughts, and then I started to evolve from that. I'm like, something's not right here, the way they're thinking of me. I remember having a classmate named Kimberly, and I was always talking to her, and I had a classmate named Anthony, and he mentioned that Kimberly say this to Kimberly about her buttocks, and I noticed that during that time a lot was happening when I was in 4th grade, and my classmates started having this idea that I want to have a fight with another person in another class, and this person named Lawrence, and they kept being they were so fixated on getting me to this person so we could actually get into some sort of fight. And it actually happened, but I didn't fought back with him. He slapped me on my left eyelid, and I had an imprint of his nails on my left eyelid. I kept doing it constantly. The headaches, non-stop headaches, and to the point that the headache starts when I'm sleeping, and when I go to class in elementary school when I was 4th grade, I still end up having a headache, and it goes away like during the afternoon time. So during that week, it was these automatic thoughts, rush down automatic thoughts, and I kept going at it, and it kept saying that I don't need no test. I don't need my left testicle. I don't need my testicles, because I don't need no kids, and it just kept going on. So first was a dream about my left testicle, how it was disfigured and it was in shooting pain, and then a few days later, the automatic rush down thoughts, and I started talking about I'm not gonna have no kids. But the thoughts was my thoughts, but it was going through when I was thinking. It made me feel angry about myself because of my situation that I was in when I was in Florida. I was thinking about going to college, thinking about finding finding a stable job. I was getting frustrated with how my mom was having her friend over the Lake Cecile hotel, more like it's a motel room, and I'm there on my front of my computer, and they're gonna take advantage of me, you know. So what I do is, I got frustrated because of that experience, to know I'm in this situation, and I feel like someone wants to make me ashamed of what I'm doing. So that was one of the factors that actually allowed me to actually think there had to be there's a condition in order for the multi-agent quantum AI computers to automatically rush down my thoughts during that time. So I went to the bathroom, and my hand, I reacted first towards my mom and my sister's behavior, and my hand wasn't moving the way it was supposed to be moving. I move forward, it's not moving forward. I move back, it's doing something opposite. It's doing the opposite. And I was also wearing tight jeans at the time. So this was happening when I was starting to write on the internet. So anyway, I want to move on from that time and try to get to the next day. I feel really tired right now because the multi-agent quantum AI computers not making my body replenish itself when I'm sleeping. I noticed during June 4, 2019, Tuesday, the multi-agent quantum AI computer showed me Mr. Jacob in front of the shelter, just standing there. And it was during the afternoon time, based on the sunset. And during 7:13 p.m., I heard a sound pass into my ears. I noticed that Mr. Jacob Humphreys said phrases to me during the time of the last appointment. He mentioned 29 years old. He mentioned the F word. He mentioned mom, and he mentioned hat in the interview. And I also noticed that my mom check and the envelope arrived half torn up. So all these times and all these events was to frustrate me from actually concentrating on my placement test. Because after May 31st, 2019, during the morning time, I had a bad sore throat, and I had a headache, and I was feeling dizzy, and my nose I had a whole bunch of cold. I was congested. And I noticed that my mom was, trying to frustrate me early in the morning. It was during a Saturday. It was June 1st, 2019. I'm just looking through my notes. So during the morning, my mom frustrated me. After I mentioned about that that I had a flu, where she mentioned about getting us serious for a job. she said, you need to get serious. So she would inform me about being serious, knowing that I'm actually looking for a job. And when I go on my email address, I created a folder, and I have a list of jobs that I submitted for on that folder to show myself and to show people that I'm serious for a job. But since it was 2 months ago, when my sister had confronted me towards my mom and wanted to confront myself, she mentioned about why you're not calling the job, why you're not going up to the job. And the job on Indeed.com, the description doesn't leave any. They don't leave any email address or phone number, and it's up to them. It's up to the person who's actually applying for the job to rely on the person that they've applied for the job in order to actually receive communication. Communication so they can actually go there to get to interact with the person there. It depends. It's up because the person who's applying is socially depending on the employees at the job to actually call them over so they can actually interview them. And there's an interview process. Even going to an interview doesn't guarantee a person going to getting a job right away, receiving an offer for a job right away. It's up to the person and the job. And not only that, it's up to the conditions that the multi-agent quantum AI computers had assigned that job and assigned that person, and what person it assigned to you, in order to actually know what exactly the person is going to say in a conversation and what you're going to say in the conversation in order to be able to be in the job, and also the people in the job itself too. Very tired. So I'm gonna separate this, and I'm gonna create a second video for it. Okay.